All right, so I guess I'll start. My name is Laura Joel. I'm a first year here at LUC. I am running for chair because I genuinely love the LUC community. I love LUC. I was looking forward to being a student at LUC for 2.5 years before I got here. Outside of that, I do a lot of European Youth Parliament sessions where I take up the role of chairperson or vice president leading a team, which is also why I think I am qualified enough to be taking this position next year. Furthermore, I really love hanging out with people from LUC. I love having discussions. I'm quite open. If you want to approach me with a question or just a comment, please do. Floor 18, hit me up. And I think I'm going to hand over the microphone to the next, to the other candidate.
Hi, wow.
You get to the microphone.
I'm also from floor 18, so if you want to come and talk to both candidates for chair, then just come to floor 18. I'm Hande, second year world politics major. I am Dutch, Turkish. This is how I always introduce myself. Don't go into the question, what do you feel more? But I think I'm a good candidate because I've been involved in various committees in LUC, but also outside of LUC, I've been very active with various different organizations, and I'm also currently a student assistant at the Honors Academy, so there I can see like from above how Leiden University, including LUC, works, and I think that gives me like a different perspective on Leiden University affairs, including LUC, and yeah, I've been, I guess, pretty much involved with everyone, and just hang out with everyone, and yeah, with the committees, and that's it.
What do you see as the function of the chair within the Fortuna Student Association?
Here you go first.
Just keep the same order,
Yeah.
really structured. Well, first of all, the chair chairs the team, chairs the board of Fortuna. This includes keeping up communications, includes attending all the meetings, making sure everyone is feeling good, knows what they have to do, dividing of tasks, and the external communications of the Fortuna Association as well. Basically, you're the face of the LUC Fortuna as the chair. So that means a certain degree of professionality. That means a certain degree of, well, sociability probably. And it means that you're also the face of Fortuna towards the first years of next year, which sets the stage, of course, for their participation in Fortuna. So that, in short, is my view on the position of chair.
Yeah, like, we're going to be asking questions all the time.
Silent.
Yeah. Okay. The main responsibility of the chair is, I think, keeping really unity within the board members, one, and then also unity among the committees, I think. And especially, I think that more unity among the committees is needed regarding the chairs of the committees, but then also external relations. You're the face of Fortuna. You are there to really represent what LUC students want, what they want to strive for, what they want to organize, be it either committees or outside of committees, outside of LUC organizations such as the UCS RN, which is another topic. So organization, responsibility, these are the main tasks, I think, of the chair, and just really making sure that all of the board members are on the same terms, are on the same page, and can get along with each other as good as possible, as well as possible.
So one of the big challenges in your sort of beginning of starting up as the Fortuna board is to get the students, get Fortunians as they're actually called, involved in Fortuna as a student association as an additive to their social life here. This has not always gone well. It's gone well. Sometimes it's gone better, sometimes it's gone worse. But I think especially in the campaign of last year, they mentioned that the first few weeks are an especially important part of that process. So how do you, as chair, what kind of vision do you have for engaging with the new first years next year and getting them involved in the dynamics of the Student Association?
This is a question only for Laura.
How about you start this time?
Wow, okay.
Dynamic.
well, unfortunately, I wasn't here in intro week this year, but in my first intro week, I do recall Yella giving an amazing speech and getting everyone involved. But I think, so the question was the challenge, right, Joost?
The challenge of getting first years involved in the student association in the early stages, because that's the crucial stage.
I think the biggest challenge is that students don't really exactly know what Fortuna is. I think they see Fortuna as a body that governs committees only and is there to where like students can go and create committees so that they can do stuff, but Fortuna is more than that. And maybe the bringing over this message is the biggest challenge, but I think that with the committee affairs, the committee fair, and the speech that the chair gives in intro week, I think this challenge is it's dealt with mostly in the first few weeks, and then I think in the first years are very excited about getting involved through different activities like sports, arts, and I think the challenge comes after that when people don't really feel it anymore, because in the first week you sign up for a shit ton of committees, but then you like get out of it. So yeah, maybe that.
So I'll just interrupt you there and like make a follow-up question.
Yeah.
You said that Fortuna is more than just committees.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, well, Fortuna is the face of the students, and it's what communicates with all of the other LUC bodies, like all of the college council, with floor 4 basically all the time. But also like UCS Rental is a good example how inter-UC it manages and it is representing LUC. So I think this message is going to be conveyed later on, because the first years don't really know that in the first few weeks. So that's what LUC, why Fortuna is more than that. And it's also maybe through committees, keeping all the students together, because we are such a diverse group, I want to say. And then,
Okay.
just keep that together.
Maya, do you have a question?
It'll be so after. I think the way we do audience questions is once both of them have answered the question that we pose, then we'll open it up to the floor. So after Laura.
I'm sorry, I'm looking forward to the questions.
Yeah, please.
So I'm just going to go back to, can you repeat the question one more time,
So
just
the
in
original
case?
question was
The challenges in the beginning.
challenge of intro week.
Getting people engaged in the first few weeks of their being at LUC,
Yeah.
especially first years.
Yeah, so being a first year myself, I have to agree a bit with the fact that it's not that Fortuna didn't do its best to be Fortuna, be the best, be represented the best, but more that as a first year, you're kind of overwhelmed by how much LUC has to offer, which is very good because LUC has to offer a lot. However, as Hamza already mentioned, I have to agree with a lot of what Hamza said. In the first year, the chair is very important, the speech they give, but I also think that the individual tasks of the introduction of the Fortuna board itself, so the CAOs having to introduce themselves, I think that's really important as well, because the chair is there as the external face, as the leader of the team, but also the individual officers are very important to the smooth running of Fortuna as an organization. So in that sense, I'd say put more of an emphasis on the individual board members. Besides that, I think the committee fair, I liked walking around in that. It was a nice atmosphere, and I think we can do more with that, or more events such as committee fairs, where committees literally just introduce themselves, where signing up, because as a first year you're like, oh, I'm going to sign up for everything, where signing up isn't the only thing you do, like mini events of these committees so they can introduce themselves, and the view you have as a first year of Fortuna becomes more concrete and less about, they're just the organization that like sits there and does the committee thing, which is literally what I thought in the first week, but that it really becomes a concrete thing that you can involve yourself in.
If I could quickly, I love the stream of thought, and I think it's good, but I want to ask a follow-up question. You mentioned that the chair of Fortuna is the external face. I was in the Fortuna board 2 years ago, and the chair of our Fortuna board, Jelle, though he gave a great speech in the intro week, sometimes the criticism of him was that he might not have been as visible as the chair, as the representative of the entire community, and as a figure that you could easily, or that's quite as approachable as a chair, according to some, should be. So how would you alleviate concerns of, if you're going to focus a lot on the external, how are you going to still be able to then be an internal face of what people should, as their representative, right? Because you're going to represent to the outside world, then people want to know who is going to represent them to the outside world. That's done through the campaign, as we're doing now, but ultimately throughout the year you might consider doing that as well.
Yeah, I agree. The thing that I was thinking about as I was applying for this position and as I was thinking about the campaign was that I love Chris. I talked to him in the introduction week. I was very, as a first year, I was very nervous about LUC, and I think that talking to Chris, it was very nice. So I definitely think that the communication from chair to LUC body is very important, and I would like to definitely continue and maybe increase it by, because the General Assembly, for instance, is a good way of sort of getting together, but it's also formal. And for the chairperson, it might be, so EYP. For the chair, it might be good to be be present informally because I have been emphasizing the external relations a lot, and I think the internal relations are, well, as important, if not more important, for the feeling of community, of unity within LUC. So in that sense, I would organize more events with me informally and getting to know the students' body, because they're an awesome body of students.
Yeah. Cool. Let's open up to the floor. I think, Thomas, you had a question, so we'll go first.
So the follow-up questions were mostly individual things about what they said.
I can answer it if you want.
Yeah. Do you feel like you've answered the question? Do you feel like you've answered the follow-up question?
Yeah, I totally agree with Laura. I think what more like concrete would, yeah.
That's easy.
Floor 18 or something.
Floor 18.
Yeah. No, I think what we can do better, what a chair maybe can do, I don't know to what extent Chris does it right now, but maybe be more present at the at the events that committees are organizing as a chair, and yeah, just go there and maybe have like once a year or twice a year like meetings with the chairs of the committee, so that all the chairs get together, they know what's going on, and that the chair is more involved with all of the committees, and then through the chairs with the members of the committees, with members of Fortuna and the committees.
I'm Thomas, I'm the COSIS chair. We're talking now about, you're talking about, of course, internal relation with committees and external, but there's one important organization which is same in internal, I would say, and we cooperate a lot with the Fortuna committees for organizing events, hosting events. And as you might know, or might not know, is that Fortuna is officially also an advisory board of the COSIS Bar Foundation. I would like to know how do you envision the cooperation between Fortuna and COSIS Bar next year?
Are there like any specific
being an advisory board officially also means that we have meetings each block. We share our financial details. It might not happen all the time. They should.
Well, there's one thing of improvement.
Yeah, I guess the question is, you have a sort of executive advisory board role over, I was going to say EGBAR, but that's not, it's COSIS. Sorry. So you have an executive role and advisory role over them, so you're going to have an intensive relationship with them. How do you see your relationship with them next year, and how do you think the semi-detached role of COSIS, but also somewhat not detached, how are you going to work with that?
30 seconds.
I think it's, I don't know, like I don't know how the meetings have been this last year. If there are any problems, I would like to, if I become chair, like go through them again, because I cannot envision a relationship with COSIS right now for a whole year. I don't know how it was last year, so like maybe just go through how the cooperation went and evaluate that, and then see how we can prevent problems or issues in the future. That's what I can say right now.
What I want to say is that as a chair, I don't believe in hierarchy as much as maybe some other people. I believe that if the Coasters Association or organization has something that they feel they are concerned about or that they feel they want to change, then as a chair, as the Fortuna board, we cannot go, we have to listen. So that's going to be one of the most important things, open communication and meetings regularly, which are quite important for keeping up that communication. I also think I know a couple of the bartenders, some of them are my friends, and I think it's very important for coasters to have a good channel of communication and then also like a good atmosphere within and between the Fortuna board and coasters. Sorry? Okay. Well, I mean, I in the future, I would just like to keep that up. And then if there is, like, me personally, I'm not in the Coasters board, I'm not in the Coasters organization. So I would listen and try to help wherever I can. And yeah, the advice would come from a place of cooperation mostly.
Hi, Chris. First of all, feel free to tear me apart. I don't feel okay about that. But more relevantly, a major problem here that we've experienced is although Fortuna is intended to represent the student body, there's also groups like the RAs, College Council, Program Council, who knows how many more. It's difficult to sort of have a feel for what the community thinks. Your ear to the ground that you have now might not last for the whole year. And another significant kind of complicating factor to that is office hours tend to be lonely. So I guess my question is, what is your idea of the best way to get a feel for what the community wants and needs?
So I was thinking about this before because the office hours, I like the idea of them, but as you say, I have a feeling that unless you have a very urgent question or a very pressing matter where you're going to set up a committee, then it's probably not going to be very busy there. So for instance, drawing inspiration from the LUC community, what we could do is something similar to the Dean's Breakfast, where there's literally a very informal sort of gathering. Food tends to help lure people in, so something involved with food. And then obviously as a student, I cannot talk to everybody at the same time. I cannot talk about all the concerns they have, but I would try and organize those meetings.
Okay, cool. Yep.
What I like literally thought of right
Bit closer
now.
to your mouth. Thanks.
What I,
Yeah.
gosh,
It sounds loud, but it's not.
Okay, what I literally just thought of now is, yeah, this should be discussed with the RAs and like with, or not maybe, what about like the chair doing like rounds, but then throughout the day and then like joining floor dinners maybe, and not, yeah, just there to be as a chair and then because chair face of Fortuna, you know, inner affairs, I don't know, like floor dinners, doing rounds, but then throughout the day, not at midnight. And then, yeah, I don't know, just innovative ideas. And then this, I think if we have like established the board, and then maybe board members can come up with that as well. And then not only the chair does floor dinners and joins floor dinners, but also maybe board members. Oh.
Third years as well.
Yeah, make like floor dinners with third years. Bring back floor 18. Yeah.
The board is a very time-intensive thing, and sometimes a lot of board members get very stressed or they end up overworked. There have in the past been instances of board members getting overworked or wanting to leave the board, and so we have a few hypothetical questions we would like to put to you, maybe on the spot. If you had in your board a board member who wanted to leave due to stress or to other reasons, how would you go about dealing with this? Laura first.
So first of all, I would, when I think about the situation as a chair, I would want to have seen it coming a bit. As a chairperson, as a chair, you should be aware of what is going on with your board members. If it is a very sudden thing, I don't think you've been a very good chair so far. If it's been a sudden thing because of personal issues, then obviously give the board member the freedom to deal with that on their own. There are many factors that are out of your hands as a board, but there are also many factors such as atmosphere, creating. What I know from EYP is that you have to plan properly. Personal development plans help with that, and like self-care moments. And this sounds very vague, but self-care is very important. So some people like meditation, some people like quiet time. Office hours might be good for that. In that sense, I would try and organize that as a. In that sense, I would try and organize that as a board, have those self-care moments.
I've had this issue before when I was board member somewhere at some organization, and what we usually did then is take that person, what are the main responsibilities, what are urgent things that needs to be done, and then allocate that to the other board members for like 2 days, and then take 2 days off, because I know that if you're so overwhelmed, so overworked, you just cannot fulfill your responsibilities anymore, which can be very urgent, and then like allocate them, take a weekend off, stay in your bed and like watch Sherlock Holmes for like 24/7, 2 days long, and then try to feel better, or I don't know, whatever serves you, like, and then just get to yourself. I think mental health is really important in this. Just if that's not good, then you cannot really fulfill all your responsibilities and just go over that overwhelming feeling. So I think the board has a very crucial role to play in this, to support a fellow board member who doesn't really feel well anymore.
Have you ever been to a GA? And whatever your answer may be, how would you improve attendance to
I can answer it.
No. Honesty time, I have not been to any GAs. The last GA was last Wednesday. Oh, before you start booing, let me explain. I was out of the country, I think, for... No, I was out of the country. I was at an EYP session last week, and I think I was out of the country as well the other time. I don't remember which specific country or why. Probably an EYP session as well, which obviously I will try to combine and organize better next year if I become a chair. I think the way to improve GA is planning. I'm very much a person who likes planning, so announcements well in time. Then also provide more of an incentive. You have the idea of authorization forms, so that if you really can't come, someone else can vote. But really, the urgency of voting has to be emphasized more. And this is also, I think, part of the whole face of Fortuna towards the LUC body. If we improve that, I think we can also improve the attendance of GAs by a little bit. If anything, it's going to be very hard because LUC students do have diverse lives. They might be very busy, and GA might not be on their minds all the time, whereas for committees and for the Fortuna board, it is on their mind because it's very important. And for a student that is not so much involved in that, it isn't. So therefore, I would try and improve LUC students' involvement in Fortuna as an organization, and then see how it goes from there.
Okay, quick interrupting question. You mentioned this EPY, it's a European Parliament Youth EU Parliament. Yes. I'm not familiar with this. Sorry, but it seems to take up quite a bit of your time. Would you be? You say you'll be continuing this next year. Do you think this will impact your ability as a chair in any way?
I do not think it will affect my ability as a chair because you apply for an EYP session on a voluntary basis. You can always cancel if it turns out to interfere with your daily responsibilities. I recently canceled on a session because it interfered with the university. I believe that EYP has greatly improved my confidence, my social skills, my organizational skills, and I have been a chairperson in EYP, so in that sense it has really added to my persona and my skills. And I would probably decrease the amount of sessions. I have been doing quite a bit in the past few months, more so than even the average EYPer would do. So in that sense, yes, I would decrease it. And once again, planning comes up. So if I know that there are going to be important responsibilities for me as a chair, obviously I will cancel or not apply for any EYP sessions.
All right, thank you. And then to Hamlet, a question from the audience, which was, have you attended any GAs?
In my first year, I have. In my second year, I have not, because on Wednesday, I always have Russian classes that I do outside of LUC. So, yeah, like they're always on Wednesday. They're always set. You might think like, yeah, you can skip them if there's a GA, but to be honest, I didn't. As a second year, I didn't have a lot of incentives to go to a GA. So increase the incentives, and I cannot think of concrete things that we can do this because GAs, I think attendance to the GA is one of the biggest problems that we have. To what extent it's a problem we can also discuss. Yeah, just discuss it with the board members. I cannot think of concrete things right now, but maybe somehow increase the incentives and maybe get the RAs involved. This is something, yeah. But like, even if you're a chair of a committee and you have like something important which falls on that day, then you don't go. So, yeah, this needs more thought.
I have a quick follow-up question, because you mentioned the RAs, which implies getting people from floors to have some sort of role in getting attendance to the GA. Do you mean this to be someone who collects the votes? Because we've had a system in the past, in my first year, which was a student representative system. Some people still hold dear to that, some people voted against it. Yeah, in the GA. But what that meant was that some people would hoard votes from their floor, and people wouldn't necessarily think about what people would vote in these GAs, which meant people held quite a lot of voting power in the GA. Would you see a role like that for the RAs, or would you have RAs be more of an encouraging role?
I don't think that like immediately coming up with such a strong policy would be a good idea. Maybe just get the thoughts heard and then talk to all the RAs before we implement such a strong decision. Because again, if you're going to collect votes, then it does have a major influence. What I think is with the RAs, I first of all meant like bring up the GA, talk about it, because I do think that the RAs have an influence in this, like just talking about it. And if such an idea that you just mentioned would be good, maybe like set up a trial or something like that. Yeah, we can talk about this, but right now I just meant the RAs as bringing up the topic of the GA and going and encouraging people.
So the UCS Rental tournament happened recently, and I think by most accounts and by the noise I'm hearing from the audience, it seems to have been a success. In my transition manual, it was suggested to me by the chair before me, actually to both of us, because we were both on the board together. It was suggested to us that maybe we should organize a UCS Rental tournament here in The Hague as LUC or as Fortuna. However, there are issues with organizing a UCS Rental tournament here in The Hague. The facilities that are present in places like UCU and AUC, they have a higher concentration of facilities near to where they're studying. So, first of all, would you be willing to, or is it one of your main points to start organizing UCS Rental tournament here? And if so, how would you go about it?
What do you mean with how would you go about it?
Oh wait, that's the other one. As I said, so there are some barriers that we all face as previous boards in terms of taking this responsibility on us as a Fortuna board. How would you go about overcoming those responsibilities? And do you perhaps have a plan? And this is why I said if at all. If you feel like, no, it's out, we're not going to do that.
I think it's a super cool idea to have like UCS in The Hague, and since we have like Wijnhaven, maybe that can have an effect. I don't know. We'll see. We have to discuss about maybe like set up a commission that could help with organizing UCSR in The Hague. Those are things that I think of right now, but it would be super cool, and I would definitely want to think about it. And especially, I do think that a lot of LUC students would love to have UCSR in here. Yeah, definitely think about it. I think if I think about it myself, I would love to have it. It would be super cool. And I think a commission would be a good idea for this, because it's a huge event, and yeah, that's it.
I agree with Handa right here. It would, we're agreeing so much, so nice. It would be a very cool idea to, it's a very good incentive for the community feeling, and also generally for a nice day of doing activities and having fun together. I agree with the fact that this is not something the board can handle on its own. We would have to ask for help from the LUC community.
Like, she just came back from the EYP session, guys, so.
I just got off a plane a couple of hours ago. No, what I would definitely ask for help. This is one of the things that I believe in most. You can't do everything on your own. So one of the things is sort of try and get an idea of how much, what the motivation is within the students' body, and then see what people are willing to put in to organize it. And then obviously we will have to either find students that live in The Hague or are familiar with The Hague more so than LUC students already are, or some external people who have an insight into The Hague and the facilities that it has to offer, because this is something that as an LUC community we'll have to admit that sometimes we can't do everything, and getting people from The Hague to help us I think would greatly improve it. A commission or something would be good. I would be open to other forms. It would kind of depend on what people are willing to put in. So some sort of information meeting about it would be a good start.
You'd like to have some more?
Just
Yeah, just quickly, 10 seconds.
yeah.
I think third years have can add to this a lot because they live outside of AVB and yeah. Third years commission, UCS me next year.
As a theory.
Was that, yeah, just one question. Is it a follow-up question, Danilo?
Danilo, do you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, I have a follow-up question to that. I mean, organizing the UCS tournament is a substantial thing to do. I mean, you think about sports facilities, sports events, you mentioned using wine houses, that would be great. But taking into account where we are in Hague, it might be difficult. Would you see us possibly organizing other events, like the Spotlight or the academic as alternatives to start organizing the tournament right away? And I mean, LUC has tried doing this, Fortuna has tried doing this in the past, but have come to issues with the LUC board, the security, having problems in actually getting into the auditorium to host the GA.
I think we get...
How
Yeah.
would you answer that question? How would you deal with that?
Well, very shortly, to repeat that, I would definitely see first how the LUC community feels about it, so the students themselves. If there are a lot of students already willing and involved, then that would make it a lot easier for the board. Furthermore, as Hande mentioned already, the Wijnhaven building is a good start, and we would have to do a lot of research into what kind of event we would be best capable of organizing. Once again, going back to starting well in time, doing your research, knowing your stuff before you get into an event such as this, because if we're going to organize something, we have to do it well.
Okay. Yeah.
We have to do it
quick.
well.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I haven't thought of just starting small with the academic forums and the other organizations would be good. I think maybe even better, and instead of UCS because that's like the notch, and then we can start small and then.
Okay. Do either of you? Sorry about that. Do either of you know what the UCSRN stands for?
It's difficult.
University college students, something. I don't know.
Any idea? No idea.
Yeah, I'm getting as far as university and college.
Student. I don't know.
Anyone else know?
I was abroad when this happened.
I just know the abbreviation.
Shout out. No. There you go. No, that was just a fun question.
Thanks.
Okay, am I right that neither of you have been on a committee here? Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. So what then? Okay, so maybe this is a criticism of the past Fortuna boards, or maybe you just haven't been interested in Fortuna. What's going on there?
What's the question?
Why haven't you been in the committee?
Why have I not been in the committee?
Is that right? Have you not?
Oh no, I have.
Which ones?
LUC first year, I was a board member.
Okay. Shout out to
I was in
LUC.
LUC MUN as a delegate to one MUN, and I did volleyball, I did basketball, I am writing for PAX now, I am organizing some stuff with Interfaith right now.
Okay.
Not related to any campaign at all, but like this
No.
is going to be happening towards the end of May.
But,
yeah.
Okay, so how would you respond to that? Because Hande now seems like a candidate who knows a lot more about committees than you might know.
Yeah, but
Let her defend us.
I can defend myself.
Yeah.
No, I will be really honest. I haven't been very involved in the committees so far. A very personal thing. I seem quite confident, but I'm very. This is a very out there thing for me. I applying for boards or committees. I've been very hesitant to do so, if only because it seems like a lot of work, and I feel like I want to put 100% of what I have into what I am doing, whether it's for one committee or two committees or the board. And the past half year, I've been getting used to being in LUC as a student, and that is why I haven't applied for anything. I considered the PAX magazine thing because I like writing, but then once again, I was sort of held back by my own hesitations about literally the amount of work and the amount of dedication and sort of my insecurities. So that's why I do recognize that it's very important to have experience, which is why that's why I'm going in for the second year. But that's my explanation.
Quick clarification question for Hande, because you mentioned that you were on the LUCID board in your first year, which was when I was CAO, and I remember it's Enya was the chair then. Maaike Linsner was the I think communication officer, and Rima Baru was the head of photography, and then Davino Dwarskarsing was the treasurer. But what role were you doing in that board?
I was just a general board member, so you have like fixed board members who are head of photography, head of videography, head of treasurer, and who are chair, and then you have like general board members who just do like the work, like photography. I did a lot of photography. I was like photographer at what's the event called? The gala, the last gala we had last year, where like everything was in pink and stuff. What? Spring gala. Yeah. I was
Lustrum
there.
Gala.
Huh?
Lustrum Gala.
Lustrum Gala, yeah. I was there photographing. I did like an interview with Rose. I photographed her. The LUC ID interviews I did twice with Carl and Rose. And yeah, just the answers to the questions that like if you're a general board member, then you do the work.
All right, thanks.
Of course, part of the advisory board, we all do that based on certain legal rules. On that note, you guys please explain to me the difference between the foreign associations and the European.
Okay, the difference, articles of association and the rules of procedure. So in Dutch, the huishoudelijke reglementen and the statuten.
I don't know, and I will learn from this when we, if I'll become chair, I'll roast Chris, because right now I really don't know, and I'm not gonna lie about this.
So from my limited experience with management and organisatie, as a subject, the statuten are the management and organization. It's a Dutch subject in high school that concerns itself with corporate economics. The statutes are the statuten, sorry, are the founding rules. Very important, very hard to change. Basically laying down the groundwork for the organization as is, and I already forgot the English
Rules of
name.
procedure, huishoudelijke reglementen.
They're about the day-to-day activities and about the, I don't know how to explain day-to-day activities in other words, basically that.
Hello guys. So my question is specifically because, of course, the chair position, I believe, even though I'm on candidate for CEO, regardless, I understand that that's a lot of work, but I think chair is definitely the one that's more loaded because you are the face of Fortuna. And so I'm wondering if you guys, for example, are part of any committees, which, well, you already asked that, but if you're also you're doing other organizations, or if you're working, or if you want to double major or whatnot, how would that come into account if you want to become chair? Like, how are you going to manage that, basically?
Okay, so what extracurricular activities do you have outside the ones you've already mentioned that might impact your functioning as the chair?
I will start this off because I already talked a bit about the European Parliament, the Youth Parliament. I have a job as a tutor, which is very flexible hours, and I can reschedule or basically cancel 2Ds if I need to. I won't do that easily because I am loyal to my 2Ds, but I can if I need to. Furthermore, the European Youth Parliament is on a very voluntary basis. It takes up a lot of my time if I choose to let it take on a lot of my time. And as I said, EYP has contributed a lot to me developing as a person, developing as a manager of a team. I think as a chair, you will be managing a team. One of the more important tasks is to manage them well.
I'm gonna have to stop you there. You're going over time, so I'll allow Hande to also speak a little bit.
I'm sorry, yeah.
There's 30 seconds per question.
I'm a student assistant at Honors Academy, but this is like a 0-hour contract, so I can go for 4 hours 1 month. So this is going to be, I think, easy to come back. And then, yeah, I do Russian in my spare time, but this is also nothing fixed. But yeah, this is. Oh, right now I'm co-organizing a study trip, but this is only for the summer, so this is going to be ended after the summer. I'm not doing lots of extracurricular stuff right now. I was very active last year, but I stopped being a board member at somewhere else.
All right, thank you.
Can I have one more thing?
Very quick.
About the double major.
I'm not going to do a double major,
Yeah,
so
me neither.
I'm not going to take a
Okay,
much
both
more
candidates are
than
not going to do a double major. That's great. This is something most previous boards have been struggling with. It's the question of sponsorship, outside money for events, for speccing the actual budget of the student association. So, what's your stance on sponsorship? And if you're not opposed to it, what's your strategy in attracting it? Let's have Hannah first this time. Change it around.
I think we can do a better job at getting sponsors, but this has to be a little bit strategic. Like, you cannot ask everyone to become a sponsor for your event, so this is not a decision that the chair only takes. Obviously, the whole board has to come to a consensus, maybe. I don't know. I don't have experience with getting sponsors. Maybe other board members will, and we'll have to discuss it in the board. But I really do think that we can get. At least we should try to get sponsors, good sponsors, responsible sponsors.
Right, cool.
responsible sponsors. Yeah. Well, I do not have a lot of experience with fundraising either. I believe that if the money comes from a good source, can people in the back be a little bit more quiet? I have very bad
Hey,
hearing.
people at Coasters, shut up. There's debate happening here.
Or just whisper, either. So I don't have a lot of experience with fundraising. I do know that it's a large part of EYP, so I do know people that have experience with it that I can ask for help. Furthermore, what Honda said, if there's responsible sources, there's good sources we can get more money from so that we can expand the organization's activities by all means. If we do it in the proper manner, in the right way, yes, obviously we should go for it, but I do not have a concrete plan right now.
So us, Joost and I here are kind of representing the very much the establishment. We've been in the board for quite some time. Well, we just. So I suppose a more anti-establishment question. There have been proposals by certain people here, both that the Fortuna fee should not be mandatory. The €50 should be an optional thing, and we should decide whether we buy into Fortuna or not. And also that we should allow the creation of rival student associations to create competition. This is the free market argument. Your opinions in a minute on whether the fee should be mandatory and whether we should allow student association competition within LUC.
So the student, I honestly would like to do more research into the student fee, specifically the topic, before I propose like anything concrete, before I really go into my arguments in depth, simply because I don't like voicing an argument or an opinion that is not fully founded on facts and research. On the other thing, the free market principle, the rivaling organizations, from the perspective of a possible chair of Fortuna, I would be against it simply because I think it would undermine the unity that we're trying to enhance and create and further increase in Fortuna. So I would obviously be open to other people's arguments and trying to convince me of the opposite, but for now my opinion would be negative.
From the perspective of an LUC student, there should be no other student association. Fortuna is enough, I think. And I thought of it right now, and I don't think that the fee should be mandatory, but then the direct consequences, how are you going to control how people, whether people have paid and then they want to participate at Fortuna events. I mean, a lot of events are organized here on floor 1, and then would that be a problem that someone who hasn't paid the fee is coming by like at a poetry slam organized by a committee or go to an exhibition, is that a problem? So that's like a direct consequence. But I do know that a lot of people who pay the fee don't have anything to do with the committees and with the organization, with Fortuna and with the events that are planned. So
I can clarify, considering you haven't said too much about it, Laura, and building on what you've said, I know from the early years of Fortuna when it was first set up by the first Flip Keelan Adams, I think. They used to have to go around all the rooms and try and collect the fee from people, and at events they'd have to have a stand where people would sign in whether or not they were on the list. It's all quite a hassle, but you get to decide whether that's good or not. And then there's the other thing of people, first years, who come to LUC, who then get an opportunity to decide to pay or not, which is, if they don't know what Fortuna even is, then that becomes problematic. So maybe you want to respond with that knowledge right now.
maybe try to get an this is going to be really difficult, but try to get an overview of people who have paid the fee but who have not participated in any event at all. If that's like a large number, then maybe we can try to change that. But this is a very delicate topic. I cannot come up with something concrete right now.
So from once again my limited knowledge, I would say keep the mandatory fee for now, especially until I've done my research, but also because of the problems that you mentioned about the stand being there. I literally, when you were talking, Honda, I was envisioning a bodyguard, or a security guard, keeping out all the people who hadn't paid the fee, which goes against my vision of a more united, the more community feeling of Fortuna. So for now, I definitely say keep it mandatory.
We've also heard a lot of the chair being the face of Fortuna, and you are an elected representative of the LUC community, therefore. So will you use that voice to communicate your own ideas and what you think is the ethically viable option, or will you only put it out to the public and keep silent about these issues? Because I think that's important.
Do you mean as the chair of Fortuna coming up with an opinion that is supposed to represent all LUC students? This is not possible.
Well, I mean, as the chair of Fortuna, who has been elected by the LUC student body, bringing it forth with you at all, because I think, in that position, you have the ability to make an argument. Would you be willing to make an argument, or would you not make an argument? How involved would you be within that debate?
If it's like a public argument, not necessarily public, but if it's an argument to another body, obviously, then first I will discuss it with my board, and then if it's such a crucial issue, I will definitely, post it at the GA or post it on Facebook, or try to get the ideas of LUC students, because as one person you cannot come up with an opinion that is supposed to represent the opinion of 600 students. So try to get as much as insight to what people are thinking, instead of, or at least coming up with a combination of opinions instead of one.
Okay, so if the whole board agreed that you wanted to go in one direction regarding the issue of sponsorship, would you then be willing to present that as the view of Fortuna?
I will be able to, I will first present this to LUC students. And I know that we will not get a consensus because we're not a communist.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. Communism, sorry. Yeah. Consensus is impossible. Just see how everyone thinks about it.
Sure.
Okay.
Once again, I agree. I am not the arrogant person who thinks that my opinion is the only one who matters. I would definitely draft up the statement with the board, so the board gets a say in it. Because as a chair, you might have an important position, but you're definitely not so much more important than a CAO or a secretary, by no means. And then that draft would be proposed to the UC community for those who actually attend GA. Perhaps, once again, I think the oil thing or something slightly more controversial would actually attract slightly more people in that sense. And then based on that debate, we can nuance it, refine it. But I am by no means going to go out there on my own and say something like this is my opinion and therefore the Fortuna's opinion.
So you would have a
I think we're just going to move on because we've got so many questions. But by all means, ask them later at the bar. We're going to move on to a bit more, I think, about qualities as people, not just concrete manifesto points. So, Flores, what's yours?
So I'm going to ask the question first, and then I want to make a quick comment about the way in which you're going to answer this question. The question is, what is your weakest point as a chair? Now, what I don't want you to do is give the bullshit answer that everyone gives at a job interview, where you mention something which looks weak but actually is a good thing. I want actually your weakest point as a chair.
So when I hear this question, I have had to answer this question many times for applications for EYP. I answer this quite honestly because I have had to deal with a lot of insecurities in my time. One of my weaknesses is definitely that I take quite a bit of time to process feedback. I am quite sensitive to feedback in the sense that I think feedback can be more criticism, whereas feedback is supposed to improve your performance in your function, improve you as a person. And in the past, I've had a bit of difficulties processing it. So I'm definitely working on that, and I hope being a chair, I will get to work on that as well. And I hope that the board will support me in that process. And I mean, I definitely think they will. And then also giving feedback has been difficult for me sometimes, but as a chair, you will have to. So.
Okay, good. Hannah. A woman without weakness. Or too many.
I'm gonna choose from the list.
It's hard.
Weakness as a person or weakness as
As a chair.
As a chair. I think I'm gonna have. I think I'm gonna have issues with third years, even though I'm gonna be a third year myself and living outside of the body. I keep saying bodybuilding. I think this is a big issue, really getting the third years involved, and I might have. This is more of like not a personality weakness, I know, but I don't know. Huh? Yeah, I think yeah, third years is a big problem.
But that's it.
30 years.
But that is it.
I'm gonna be a big problem. No. Like what we? Yeah, I know. This is more of like.
But now you're just
A
describing.
state of being rather than a character trait.
I know. Yeah, character. I think I might be a bit too critical of other people, and I might be a bit too bitchy towards others. If I really think that something is not good, but this is more about fundamental things. Like if I see that something fundamentally is not being fulfilled, I might, if in pursuing of trying to change that thing, like change that weakness, or change if someone is not fulfilling that responsibility, I might be a bit too harsh. I think this is a big weakness that I have, and I think that people who I have talked to or friends with have noticed that I can be a bit too harsh to other people. Yeah.
Okay, good. So there are I asked the Fortuna board members to come up with questions for the session. I've saved them for last. Some might say save the best for last, but we'll see about that. So Chris, you first as the current chair.
Hey, me again. First off, just general comment, don't worry, this job will make anybody really bitchy, or as my mom calls it, assertive. My question has to do with the role of the chair. It sometimes feels like it's very public, very vulnerable crisis management, in the sense that there's always an issue, a beer is always about to fall on an electric panel, there's always a committee that's gone way over budget, there's a legal fee that comes in the mail, and it's always in a day where you have 3 presentations and your boyfriend just broke up with you. Always. Is how that happens. That's not real, by the way, that's just an example. So, how is your take on crisis management, or how do you deal with this kind of anxiety when unforeseen things come up? Because you can plan all you want, but busyness tends to come, when it rains it pours, so to speak.
So first of all, thank God I'm not in a relationship then. It sounded sadder than I wanted it to be. No, I am not sad. In crisis management,
Go ahead.
let's get to the question. Getting an email with very urgent news, my first reaction would be inform everybody immediately, and it sounds inform everybody who needs to be informed. So the board or the involved committees, as you mentioned, legal fee, and then Now, obviously, not everybody would have the chance to get together, like convene at once, but definitely see what I as a chair can do at that point. Even if I have a presentation or an essay, you know, as a student, you have to get your presentations done on time, but at the same time, like if you're 3 hours before the presentation, you don't have anything, you kind of messed up in the beginning already. So I would definitely sort of drop most of the non-urgent things I'd be doing right now and then get on it, because this, especially if it's something legal or something financial, that needs to be sorted out. Sorry?
What are non-urgent things?
Non-urgent things are my day-to-day activities. For instance, when I'm finishing up class and then I go to my room, I'm like, oh, and now I want to have like a nice elaborate lunch. I'm going to work on that essay plan that I have due in like a week, hypothetically. Then, like, because there's a week for the deadline, I can drop it for now, or I can have lunch quickly. Stuff like that is not urgent.
Okay, Hande, what's your answer? But first, let Hande have a say first.
See what's the urgent thing in that urgent manner in that point. So what needs to be done? Are we talking about a fee that has to be paid before the end of the day? Are we talking about the collapse of, I don't know, a committee or a chair or a board member? I don't know. If it's like a really urgent thing, then take action right now, right at that spot. Or if you have a little bit more time, call all of the board members instead of like texting them or whatever. And then I do think that as a chair of Fortuna, that you can make a stronger, you can have a stronger stance towards LUC, like as in to your teachers. If you have a deadline, but something like 800 euros has to be paid that day, and you cannot handle that without ignoring your presentation, that maybe I really do believe that you can take a stronger stance. But I don't know how the ROPs are regarding that.
Well, I mean, you sign up for this, so you know it's the fact of signing up for the job.
No, as in like how to what extent you can use your position as chair.
No, there needs to be a majority.
Yeah.
There needs to be a majority of board members agreeing with the decision within reason. What about the advisory board? What about the advisory board? What? In an urgent situation.
It really, I think, depends on the urgency. If you have time to advise, to ask the advisory board, then you can do. But again, I don't know in what matters I am obliged to ask the advice of the advisory board right now. I don't know.
All right, and Laura?
For me, it would be have communication and some ground rules laid down before the crisis can happen. So at the very beginning of the cooperation between advisory board and Fortuna board, get some basic rules down, get some hypothetical situations in your head, and then make sure that as much as you can be possibly prepared for a crisis situation, you should be. And then furthermore, indeed, it kind of depends on the deadline of the crisis. But I also I do believe that there is always an opportunity to call someone or to call the board. Like, texting might be slightly delayed, but you can always call someone or go up to them.
Okay.
So that would be the.
Okay, so I wanted actually to bring this question up a little bit earlier as we were talking about the UCS Rental. Well, most of the students at almost every UC seem to think that it is just a tournament, but actually it's a complete organization representing all university colleges around the Netherlands in academic matters, but also in social matters and whatsoever. However, such an organization comes with obligations and monetary obligations.
2,500 euros a year, I think.
Exactly, and that is a subject of constant debate. And since that money that is been spent at in the UCS Rental could be spent here at LUC also at committees. What?
UCS Rental Brexit.
I'm not saying we should follow the Brexit example, but I was really wondering like what your views on the relationship between LUC on the one side and the UCS Rental on the other side should be in the future, as you as a chair should have at least an opinion about that. And I'm not saying that it should either be an exit or a continuation of the present relationship, but I'm just wondering like how would you foresee such a relationship in the future? Who wants to go first?
Let's have Hannah first. Don't really have Laura first. So.
I think UCS Rental is a really important organization that we should not exit. This was mentioned earlier, maybe like start with, because the academic forum is also, I don't know if it's called academic forum, but there's like an academic event. Do you know the exact name? Academic committee of the UCSR. They had an event organized at Erasmus University College in Rotterdam, and I think we can start with like small organizations of UCSR in The Hague, maybe at LUC, to get the UCSR more, to get LUC students more involved with UCSR, and then directly, maybe this can strengthen the relationship, and then this can also have the money that we pay. I don't know if we pay money. Yeah.
2,500 euros a year.
Okay, okay. So this will give more value to the fee that we're paying, and just like strengthening the relationship, and then getting more UCSR and stuff involved here.
Okay, good. Laura.
I would definitely be in favor of intensifying the relationship. Not suddenly, small events are definitely a good, like baby steps. Hearing the fee for the first time, I'm sort of overwhelmed by the amount of money that goes into it, and then the amount of worth that we get out of it. And we have to be a bit selfish at this point. We are LUC. Even if I'm not going to be a chair, I do represent LUC as a person, and I want LUC to get as much out of that as possible. So intensifying the relationship for our benefits, and the only thing we can do is provide more, come up with more efforts from the LUC community, and if that doesn't work out, then...
Okay, good. I just have a quick interjecting question. Just for the both of you, a guess. What is the budget of Fortuna yearly?
I absolutely have no idea.
That can be a lot of numbers.
300,000. I have absolutely no idea. Like honestly, I don't know. How many people here do know that?
It's basically...
Can you guys tell me?
It's at least 50 times 600, which is 30,000, and then whatever that's left. It's a basic question which you get to learn anyway next year. Who cares? Mariam, your question.
Do I need a microphone? Okay, I can scream.
Scream.
Yeah, okay. I have both existential and a personal question, but I think I'm gonna
Use the mic.
Yeah, okay. So a lot of people here asked, what about the involvement of third years and getting outside of the bubble? But do you think that LUC and Fortuna is organizing way too many events, and that is the reason why we have a problem of getting people outside of the bubble? Have you ever thought about it? Because all the events that are being organized are mostly in the building. And we keep encouraging it, especially as Fortuna. We're not turning people down, but do you think that becomes problematic in terms of getting people outside of the building? Yeah.
I mentioned this earlier that we should organize more events outside of LUC, outside of AVB. I think this would definitely help, but you cannot come up with a policy to reduce the events. You cannot really enforce that, but maybe encourage committees to organize more events outside of AVB, and then like go to third years' home, and then I don't know, coffee crawl, scavenger hunt. I'm really in favor of that. I really think we should do that. And stuff like that. Just organize more events outside of AVB. This is something basically that I think of right now, but we can develop more ideas.
Yeah, in that sense, I would agree. And once again, wow, this community feel.
We have some points that we disagree on.
Like we can disagree, but it's that I'm fee. No, I don't like going into conflict unnecessarily. It's kind of unhinges the debate for me. About the events, for me, one thing that comes up in my mind is that we become stricter when it comes to what events should we do, what proposals should we take on. I assume that there are more proposals than events organized. It's getting kind of noisy in here.
Just keep it. This is going to be the last question, and then we're going to finish up. So
okay.
just.
Okay. Do you have a good question? Because otherwise, there's also a very good question here, but like we have to really close it after this.
So basically, be stricter and then try and.
All right.
Okay. So my question is more related to how you want to act within the board. What kind of position do you want to have within the board, and how are you going to try to keep the cohesion within the board? And what is your persona going to be towards your board members?
So I believe in network over hierarchy. I believe that in the board, everybody's going to be equals. There's a name of a position doesn't make you a better person or a worse person. Coming from EYP, team building games for the win. So there will be an afternoon of doing weird games and fun stuff, and not necessarily getting into all of the responsibilities, and just getting to know each other. Because I know some of the people who are running for board, but definitely not in the sense that you could work together with them as a team for an entire year very intensively. So work on that first, and then after that, keep the communication regular and open. The team building sort of regular, keep it a regular thing, so it's not like a one-time thing, oh, now we know each other, goodbye. Keep it up, and definitely then just be nice and social to each other.
Good.
Give each other
And then for Hande, the last...
The most important thing within a board, I think, is communication. Does everyone know what everyone is doing? We do not necessarily have to agree on everything, but try to have like a unified opinion on decisions that need to be taken. If there's like a strong schism, and try to overcome that, and then I think the chair plays a really important role in this. And then also outside of Fortuna, just do stuff together, basically.
Okay, good. We'll give both of you 1 minute of a closing statement, and then afterwards Stuart will read out the rest of the schedule for the election procedure, and then you are all free to go. Who of you wants to go first?
You can go first. I went first, like with the introduction.
Closing statement, whatever you want to make.
Thank you guys for tonight. You've been amazing with the amazing questions. I look forward to next year, living outside, and then maybe as a chair, and then organize more events outside of AVB. You're all welcome to my home next year. Turkish coffee for the win.
How are you going to compete against coffee?
I honestly can't compete against Turkish coffee. I mean, of all coffees. No, I just wanted to say thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for all the questions. Definitely helped me provide my points. I encourage you to come by floor 18, room 639 for me. What is your room number again?
643.
643. Just hop on by. We usually have our doors open. If we don't, just knock on the door. Once again, I'm trying to be about transparency and openness. See you when I see you.